Michael, let's start with the FA Cup. What does this competition mean to you?
I think I've said it before, Rob. Yeah, it means a lot to me. I mean, I've been quite fortunate as a player a couple of times, go on a couple of decent runs. I've certainly been on some very good runs as a manager. Quarterfinals with Blackburn, 5th round and 4th round with Oxford, coming from obviously all the rounds from the first round. So, and it's been enjoyable, and sometimes it can, give a little bit of spirit to a football club when it needs it. And obviously, because we're going through this terrible time at the minute with the pandemic and COVID, sometimes a good cup run can lift everyone's spirits.
You mentioned there you've had a good cup runs in the past in this competition. You've obviously had great runs in the trophy as well. Is there a secret to having a good cup run, do you think?
I don't know, Rob, to be honest. I think, I really do treat every game the same. It's one of them where it's not, yes, you might make changes and you might give people an opportunity, but the way I go about it, I don't go into it any less thinking, oh, well, there's not 3 points up for grab here. It's, for me, I just see it as an opportunity rather than a hindrance. So I know a lot of people up and down the country at times probably see it as a hindrance, but I just see it as an opportunity to win a game of football, and that's what we all want to do. And for a club, if we can get through a couple of rounds, I'm sure every club's the same, and think that there's an opportunity to play one of the big boys. You want to pit your wits against anybody, and the bigger the better. So I think it's more of a mindset and an attitude thing, just knowing that, listen, this is just as important as like Tuesday was against Portsmouth.
Forest Green, what have you made of what you've seen of them?
Good side, and like I said, obviously I've come up against Mark a couple of times when he was Swindon manager, and it was obviously a little bit different to a degree because obviously Oxford Swindon's a little bit of a rivalry, as we know, but no, obviously they play good football, and having said that, you're looking at the clips and looking at the games, they do get the ball forward quickly into Jamal Matt, which is a little bit different to what I've been used to with some of Mark's teams in the past, but we have to deal with that. We have to make sure that we're competitive and make sure that we stay strong and keep our structure nice and tight.
We know obviously the injury issues are not going to clear up for Saturday. How important will it be for TJ and Adam to build their partnership over the coming weeks, because they will be the regular centre halves, I'm guessing?
Yeah, we've still got a few issues this morning that we need to sort out on top of everything else. So I don't want to give too much away at this moment in time. But when people use the words bare bones, we're round about that at the minute. So it's a big 24 hours for us. Hopefully we can turn one or two of them round and be able to put a side out.
Is that just down to the amount of games you've had, do you think? Is that what's causing the injuries to mount up?
I think so. Obviously, I don't know, I've got a magic one. But yeah, I would imagine it's just the volume of games. Because we're not doing massive amounts in between the games. Yes, excuse me, the lads who haven't played much games, they need top-ups as anyone would do up and down the country. But the lads who are playing most weeks are not doing much in between the games other than just making sure they're prepared for the next one.
And how difficult is that as a manager, that you're not really able to, as someone who likes to coach, you're not able to work with them as much on the training ground as you like? Yeah,
it's frustrating. Like I say, I found myself working with the lads who are not playing more than anything, which in a way is good anyway, because I think, at the end of the day, I said it in the fans forum last night, they're the most difficult people to manage, because they're the ones that need a little bit of love, a little bit of arm around the shoulder to make sure that they're aware that they're still part of what we're doing. So yeah, I have a lot of my attention has gone with them over the last couple of weeks or so. Next week will be nice, to be honest with you, to have a week where we can sort of regroup, sort of take stock, have a look back at the start that we've had, which has been a good one, and look forward to a game of football with 4 or 5 days in between.
Lovely, thank you, mate.
Cheers,
when you signed Tom Hopper in January, he had a bit of a spell where he didn't score many goals, and then he got a brace against Burton. He scored last week. He can now kick on and get those goals for you.
Hopefully, but he was never one. Aaron, he was never one who was going to get those 20 goals a season. You know, we certainly didn't bring Tom to the football club to do that. Yes, we'd expect him to be double figures. I don't think he's ever been prolific. He may have been at some point in his early career, but certainly recently. But he will get his fair share of goals. It's more what he brings to the front line. He brings a presence. He brings a bit of aggression. He's still got a little bit of pace where he can run in behind at times, but predominantly we want him to play as a natural number 9 who's back to goal, and bring, you know, some of our other forward players into play. You're right, obviously his tail was up just before COVID kicked in when he got his goals against Burton. I think prior to that Burton game as well, you could see the aggression was back in his game, and I think that's a big part of his game. If he's got his aggression, then he's a better player. And, you know, the other night against Portsmouth, that's one thing certainly that we did come second best in terms of the aggression and the physicality side of it. And listen, probably understandable when you look at the teams on a piece of paper, you know, what they had and what we had out available. But one that certainly didn't come second best, I thought was Tom. I thought he was outstanding against the 2 centre-halves. And hopefully that'll continue for the rest of the season.
And with the FA Cup, you've said previously you were unlucky to go out of it last season. Do you see this as a decent opportunity to get a better run at it this season?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, obviously, you just don't know, do you? At the end of the day, you know, clearly because of obviously winning the division above, we go into it favourites, but we're hardly a clean bill of health, to say the least, for going into this game. So you're right, though. Last year, I felt we were unlucky. I felt we were a better side, much better side over the 2 games against Ipswich. But, you know, they were the ones who were fortunate enough to go through. Hopefully we can go through. Hopefully we can be in the out on Monday and, you know, look forward to another exciting draw.
And often the FA Cup brings a special feel with it, and the fans in the stadium contribute to that. Do you think it'll be the same without them, and like how much will you miss them?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we're missing them already. I think, you know, I mentioned it after the game on Tuesday. There's no doubt when you've got teams like Portsmouth, you know, and Ipswich before that coming to town, you just expect a full house. You expect the atmosphere to be electric and to drive the players on. And because we've got such a young squad, I actually believe it works in our favour, because I know the crowd, our fans would get right behind us. So to not have that on Saturday will be a little bit strange and weird, but we're no different to obviously all the other teams up and down the country. There'll be plenty of teams playing at home and wanting and expecting their fans in the ground, and they have to find a different way of trying to win the game. And
it's a historic competition. What's your earliest memory of the FA Cup?
Probably the earliest memory is probably the same as everybody else who, you know, probably been asked this question, is that, you know, the interviews when the players first wake up on cup final morning at the hotels, having the breakfast, being on the coach on the way to the game, being interviewed. And, you know, I do miss those days. It'd be great to bring that type of stuff back. I don't think probably ever will, but it was a great insight to how the players prepared for the games in those days. Obviously, I think one of the first cup finals I watched was '83. Was Brighton, and obviously being a Man United fan. I think it was '83, and I remember watching the game, and the first game was a draw, and we won on a replay. But yeah, just ever since then, I watched it every year till I can remember, really. So they were my early memories. You know, I always used to, you know, sort of dream of, everybody wants to play in an FA Cup final, but just to play in the FA Cup and be part of the cup run. And like I said, I've been quite fortunate to do both as a manager and a player.